What is my topic? The physical and psychological damage that excessive pressure during competitions or training can cause to horses. Let me tell you why I chose this topic. Have you ever wondered why a horse refuses to jump a particular obstacle? Maybe it wasn't ready for the competition, or perhaps it hadn't trained properly. Let's go back to the time of the dinosaurs. When a large meteor struck the Earth, the dinosaurs became extinct, but a very limited number of animals and mammals survived. One of these species was Eohippus, the ancestor of horses. This small four-legged mammal was no taller than half a meter and had 4 toes instead of a single hoof. Its back had a noticeable curve and protrusion. After a long period of heat, the climate became slightly cooler and drier, leading to the emergence of more shrubs. During this period, Mesohippus appeared, a more advanced version of its predecessor. Following this species, Myohippus emerged, which was better adapted to nature, larger in size, and more similar to modern horses. The next species, Parahippus, appeared even more advanced. It was the first fully herbivorous, hypsodont animal. After that, Merychippus appeared, which resembled today's ponies. It could reach up to 1 meter in height and no longer had multiple toes, but a hoof, which allowed for easier movement. Following Merychippus, Pliohippus emerged, considered the grandfather of modern horses, and zebras also evolved from this lineage. After them came Dinohippus, and finally Equus, the modern horse. The last 3 generations showed advanced changes, especially in the skull and hooves. It's interesting to know that we have more than 50 recognized and prominent horse breeds. At first, about 30,000 years ago, humans hunted horses for their meat and skin. They admired the horse as a beautiful and powerful animal. Around 6,000 years ago, scientists found evidence of bit wear marks on horse teeth, suggesting that horses were being controlled, and possibly ridden, by humans. Traces of horse milk lipids were also discovered in ancient dishes and ceramic vessels. Persian and Indian civilizations used horses primarily for transportation and were among the first to invent chariots. By 1200 BCE, in Central Asia, the Scythians, Persians, and Mongols had perfected the art of horseback riding. In ancient Egypt, whips were symbols of authority and punishment. Around the 5th century BCE, Celtic tribes in Britain crafted whips and spurs from iron and bronze. In ancient Rome, mounted soldiers used spurs to control their horses without needing to use their hands. Between the 16th and 18th centuries, spurs became more decorative, especially in Western riding cultures. Today, whips and spurs are designed to guide horses gently, enhance the rider's commands. As time went on, different breeds emerged. In Asia, light and fast horses. In Europe, strong and heavy ones. And in the Middle East, hardy desert horses, known for their speed and endurance. As humans bred horses for different purposes, many new breeds emerged around the world. In the Middle East, the Arabian horse became known for its speed, endurance, and loyalty, perfect for long desert rides. In Central Asia, the Akal Teke stood out for its golden coat and great stamina. In Europe, heavy breeds like the Shire and Clydesdale were used for farming and pulling loads, while the Thoroughbred was bred in England for racing. In Spain, the Andalusian was valued for elegance and strength, and in America, the Quarter Horse became famous for its quick bursts of speed. Today, there are hundreds of horse breeds worldwide, each created to serve a unique purpose. Since ancient times, horses have played a significant role in political history. The earliest visual evidence of horses being used in warfare comes from the civilizations of Sumer, Akkad, and Assyria in Mesopotamia, around 2300 BCE. During that era, humans did not ride horses directly, but used chariots instead. However, even then, horses were recognized as powerful military assets, symbols of strength and dominance for their nations. It is interesting to note that the Scythians and Achaemenid Persians were among the first true horsemen to develop cavalry units. They were skilled in horseback archery and had unique tactics that gave them great power in battle. Moving forward in history, We can see paintings in the Palace of Versailles depicting Queen Marie Antoinette of France on horseback, symbolizing the prestige and importance of horses in royal courts. Similarly, Queen Elizabeth II was known for her deep passion for horseback riding. Over time, equestrianism became a symbol of nobility and refinement. However, with the invention of tanks and machine guns, horses gradually lost their role in warfare and were no longer used as instruments of battle. From a social perspective, horses have long been essential to human life, used for transportation, agriculture, parades, royal ceremonies, and eventually, sports. Over time, owning and riding horses became a symbol of power and high social status. The origin of horse racing dates back to ancient Greece, where chariot racing was part of the early Olympic Games. Later, this evolved into riders competing directly on horseback. In England, kings began importing Arabian horses from the Middle East, formalizing the concept of speed racing. The term thoroughbred emerged to describe horses bred specifically for racing. The town of Newmarket in England became one of the earliest and most important centers for horse racing, and remains one of the sport's global hubs today. In the 18th century, show jumping became a highly admired skill. By the mid-19th century, jumping competitions appeared at agricultural fairs and public events. In 1900, show jumping made its Olympic debut in Paris, followed by international competitions in London and New York. Around the same time, dressage also became an official equestrian discipline, emphasizing precision, grace, and harmony between horse and rider. What's interesting is that we don't actually speak the same language as horses, so how do we understand what's wrong with them? There's no exact answer. But throughout history, humans have developed such a deep bond with horses that we've learned to recognize their pain and needs through their behavior. For example, when a horse repeatedly stamps its hooves on the ground, it's often expressing hunger or impatience, a way of saying, "I want something." Horses also communicate a lot through their ears, much like how cats express emotions through their tails. When a horse pins its ears back, it's usually a sign of discomfort or warning, meaning, "I'm not comfortable with you, and if you keep pushing, I might bite." Still, there's no precise or universal language to interpret every feeling or moment of a horse. I once asked a horse trainer about this. You have to understand your horse. Spend time with it, connect with it, and truly get to know it. This idea was beautifully expressed by Maziar Jamshidkhani, Iran's national champion in 2025.
Riding is both a team sport and an individual sport. You have to understand that your teammate is a creature that can't speak to you. It tells you how it's feeling through its behavior, its movements, its expressions, and the things that happen. And if you're smart, experienced, and have been around this game, you'll feel it, you'll figure it out, and it will get better. For example, if light falls on an obstacle, what's its reaction? For example, if light is shining directly in its face, what's its reaction? Obstacles of different colors, I don't know, walls, windows, and so on. This was really very difficult. And feeling the horse. At that point, you've done your work, you've built a common language, you've established your connection, you've built that relationship. For example, regarding this one point, let me say something that might have a bit of an educational tip, because I had very little time to prepare this horse. It wasn't more than 45, 50, 60 days. I almost every day groomed this horse myself, tried to wash its legs myself, did its groundwork myself, because a connection is necessary. It's not like saddle the horse and bring it. It's not a car you just start and go. It needs to know you. You need to understand each other's movements. When the horse is making a movement, what's going on? It doesn't want to, it can't, or it won't happen. It's one of these three after all. Diagnosing whether it doesn't want to, can't, or won't happen is up to the rider. And if you misdiagnose and force it to do something it can't, the result will be disastrous.
In some cases, a lack of proper knowledge about handling and caring for horses can lead to illness or injuries, putting their health at serious risk. Horses are prone to a variety of health issues, including colic, dental disease, laminitis, gastric ulcers, respiratory infections, skin conditions, and hoof problems such as abscesses or thrush. Orthopedic and skeletal problems, such as arthritis, Ligament injuries and bone abnormalities are also common and can result from excessive exercise, improper training, and unsuitable environments.
A horse can get injured even without competing. Incorrect or inappropriate training alone can cause harm. Many riders fail to consider their horse's actual abilities. The most important assessment is to know your horse's capacity. What height is it ready to jump? All these things need to be measured carefully, and you should see your horse as an athlete, just like yourself. You need to know how physically fit this athlete of yours is, how well it's prepared for environmental conditions, and how it's doing mentally and physically. Many factors can influence this. The role of the veterinarian is extremely important. The horse should be checked regularly and constantly, and even the smallest pains or symptoms must be taken seriously. First, we need to see how high our horse can actually jump. If we enter a competition that exceeds the horse's abilities, it will definitely get injured. Second, we should make sure the number of competitions we take it to isn't excessive. Third, the horse's rest periods are crucial. We should rest it at the right time and work it at the right time. Rest here doesn't mean complete inactivity or skipping all movement. Otherwise, if a horse doesn't move enough, it can suffer from injuries and diseases such as colic. It's important for it to stay active so that its digestive system keeps working. It should trot, gallop, and walk, and sometimes they even leave the horse in the paddock to move around freely without being ridden. Sometimes, rest is so important that it actually leads to better performance, not overtraining. If our horse is in good physical condition and properly prepared, it should participate in a maximum of 2 tournament competitions per month, and more than that is not recommended. Ideally, there should be a 3-week rest period between each competition, since show jumping tournaments usually last for 3 days. If it's not a tournament and the competitions aren't held on consecutive days, then the horse can compete up to 3 times a month. Another thing to consider is that we can't push our horse to jump at its maximum level in the same month. If we want to compete in a higher class, we must pay close attention to the previous levels, making sure the fences are lower so the horse doesn't suddenly face too much strain. If it competes in 3 events, only one of them should be at its maximum jumping capacity. We should also remember that if the horse has worked hard this month and competed enough, we can't take it to another competition the next month.